will say this. I don't know if our biracial children are spite children. I don't think they are. I think we both loved each other when we conceived them. But hands down, spite children are the most beautiful children to exist on the earth.
Yeah.
Nobody's doubting that. Nobody's hearing that and be like, well, I don't agree with that.
No, they're beautiful.
Yeah. Sometimes you see a child and you're like, God, those parents can't love each other. Look at that kid is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous kid.
That's why it's always like there's a documentary on Netflix right now about some kid that was in the California system, and he like fell through the cracks and was killed by parent abuse.
Yeah.
But he's like the cutest little boy.
Oh, of course.
You know, he's not an interracial child, so he's not like that beautiful, but he's like a beautiful little boy.
I get it. Spite children across the board, whether it's interracial or homogeneous race.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous kids.
Yeah.
Gorgeous kids. And that's like, you go in the black community.
Yeah. Black kids are cute.
Black kids are cute, and all the dads leave. You go to a black community and you see two parents in a house, those kids are not going to prom. I promise you. Nobody's asking. Nobody's accepting the invitation. That's for sure what's going to happen. You look at white kids.
Yeah.
You go to like poor white neighborhoods.
Yeah.
The most beautiful children only have one parent in the house.
Yeah.
Ugly. Just ugly two-parent kids.
That's what was wrong with my high school, because it was like a mix of army families, which typically have a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Uggos.
And then like the town there, which a lot of kids didn't have both parents.
Yeah.
A lot of spite kids. So then the army kids go into this school and get swooped up.
Yeah.
By these locals.
Well, it's also, too, because those army kids, those parents have a false sense of security, which allows them to like each other more in the context of being in the army and on a military base.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a lot of the life obligations that the civilians have to deal with. So a lot of things are taken care of for you on the base. So you can convince yourself that you love one another. So a lot of times you'll have these military people will create these uggos under the context of loving each other while in the military. And then the husband retires.
Oh, yeah.
And then they realize they hate each other, and then they leave.
Yeah.
And then you get one parent left with this ugly child. Like, how do you raise an ugly child by yourself?
Oh, no.
That's got to be tough.
It's got to be tough.
That's got to be tough.
And if that ugly child reminded you of your ex, your ugly ex?
Yeah, I mean, for sure that doesn't help.
No. But
it's also difficult to raise an ugly child because society isn't kind to ugly children.
Hard. Yeah, if you're not being honest, like life lessons are harsh.
It's even more so. So even when you are being honest, right?
Like, honey, you're not the best looking kid.
Well, yeah.
Kids are gonna tease you.
Society should tell him that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the market should be.
Mom shouldn't have to tell him that.
I don't think parents should have to tell their kids they're ugly. Let the market decide that. Because look at Adrian Brody.
Uh-huh.
You know, what if his parents would have told him that he was an unattractive kid? Lo and behold, there was going to be some point in time, a very small window where he was considered attractive.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember that.
Not now. But he had a very small window where he was an attractive dude.
Yeah.
So you got to let the market decide whether or not the kid's attractive.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about is it's really hard to tell an ugly kid, be nice to people and people will be nice to you. Because no matter how nice an ugly kid is to other people, people are just not nice to that ugly kid.
Yeah.
I guess like once an ugly kid hits about 8 or 9, the world treats him like an adult.
Childhood's over.
Yeah. An 8 or 9-year-old ugly kid is legally an adult. That is legally.
How long do pretty kids get to stay kids?
Pretty kids never grow up. Look at us. We're doing a podcast in the shed. We're holding on to something, right? Like we get to be childish for the rest of our lives because we're not ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying we're the best looking people on earth.
Yeah. Like we are having a debate.
didn't like each other when they had us.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
spite kids.
We're spite kids.
We're spite kids. It's unstoppable.
Yeah.
We're a force of nature. You cannot deny we're not ugly. Welcome to Two Jack Bros. Like, subscribe, review, rate, do all that stuff. What's up? Also, check us out on YouTube, you spite children out there. I don't know. It's tough, though. It's like spite children have happier lives, and love children are more successful.
Oh, you think that's true?
I think that's true. When you're raised by two parents that love each other, you typically are able to fail with confidence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like when you're raised by a single parent, you feel like every failure is a personal affront to you. You know,
to
like,
you or to your parent?
To you
Yeah.
as a person.
Yeah.
Because you're like, how is this happening? I'm attractive. There's no way they wouldn't pick me. They must be, take whatever is your opposite identity to the people that aren't picking you, and then add ist on the end of it.
Yeah. You must be istis.
You must be istis. If you're not going to pick me, you must be istis. I hate you all.
And that's how the spite child gets through.
Yeah, that's like, there's so many spite children now in society that society is starting to try to cater to them.
Yeah.
To us.
To
us. They're like, I know you're attractive, but you have severe emotional issues. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. What's up? Let's get into this podcast. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Ugly kids, pretty kids. You know who you are. You know where you fall. You know where you fall. But, so I'm watching this action movie now.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is the lead.
Okay.
Extraction.
Yeah.
Clearly. I don't know. He has a brother that's equally as handsome and successful.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of gauge what their parents were. They're also, I think, British. Like maybe this is an American phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like, outside of this country, it's hit or miss. Like making kids. Like I don't
know how it gets down.
I don't know how to compute it. I don't know how to guess it based off of patterns.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, let the universe figure that one out.
Yeah.
We know how they're made in America.
Yeah.
But this movie,
America babies.
It's like an old school action movie. It's the kind of action movie that I feel like we've both been craving as far as action movies are concerned. I think so. I'm only about 20 minutes into it, and I'm already like, oh my God, this is the best action movie I've ever seen. Like, oh my God. Like, I don't know if it's because we've been so depleted from action movies outside of the comic book universe.
Yeah.
That anything that is marginal is going to give me a boner.
I feel like any movie that's decent that I watch right now, I'm like, oh, this is such a good movie.
Such a good movie.
I don't know why.
This is so good.
It's so good.
So good. I mean, because there's that much time that we need to fight boredom off with.
Yeah.
We're just out here quarantining. We need every shitty movie we can get.
I'm debating watching that scary movie with the kids, Crawl.
Crawl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are some previews, and then I'm thinking about this. So I don't feel like I'm going to do any spoilers about this movie because
I'm only 20
minutes in. Like I can't even give a spoiler.
Down.
So the plot: Chris Hemsworth is an old school action movie badass. Now, when I say that, what does that mean to you?
That means that, I immediately think of like Bruce Willis or, I don't know, the black people that used to be in those movies.
Action Jackson, Carl Weathers.
Well, yeah. I don't know any of their names.
What was Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes. What were you about to? Wesley Smith, was that him?
All spite children.
Will Snipes. So, yeah. Wesley Snipes definitely is spite child. Mm-hmm. Although he might not be.
Yeah, because
allegedly, from what I understand about Wesley Snipes, is he didn't become attractive until his teenage years.
Oh.
So maybe that's when his dad left.
His dad leaves one day and he instantly wakes up the next morning like, a little chiseled here.
He just like wakes up, and before he even gets up, he like takes his glasses off, takes the retainer out of his mouth. His shoulders get straight. He's like, "What is happening?" He starts walking out of the bed. He gets taller. His abs get all jacked.
He goes down to breakfast. Mom's like, "Honey."
Mom's crying over pancakes.
And you're the man of the house now.
Yeah.
He has that talk.
Yeah. His voice is all deep. It's like, "Mom, I figured it on the way downstairs. I was the man of the house." Kind of felt it coming down the steps. But no, so when I say what does that mean to you, like describe what that character is like the character in the movie. He's an old school action movie badass. What is he like?
So he's not like the smartest or the toughest or the best at all this stuff, but he always figures it out and like gets it right. And he has some good lines that he says to bad guys. And this isn't really my area of expertise. Let me apologize to the people listening. Ansley is obsessed with Mr. Bean.
She tries to make every action star Mr. Bean. I don't know how she does it. I asked her to describe to me an old school action badass, and she's like, "Well, he's not the smartest. He's not the most physically attuned. He kind of just bungles his way into saving people."
He has a cake a lot and almost gets the cake to the wedding every time or the party.
Never talks.
No.
Just makes a lot of
very quiet.
Good faces though. He makes a lot of good faces. Yeah. Right? So old school action movie badass. What are his living conditions?
Oh, he's a single dude living in squalor.
Squalor, right?
Yeah.
We're on our way, right?
Yeah.
Every badass action star basically lives in our recording shed
with empty pizza boxes and beer bottles around.
Beer bottles, whiskey bottles.
Yeah, he has a drinking problem.
He's more of a drinker. He's less of a carb problem guy.
Okay, he's more of a drinking
problem guy.
Okay,
right. Okay, so we got that established.
Is he down on his luck?
I think like everybody living in squalor is kind of down on their luck.
I just got excited that I like figured something out.
Yeah. I don't know anybody in squalor that are like skipping around, swinging a pocket watch. I mean, we're the closest to being happy living. We're the happiest people living in squalor. There are no.
This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, and we're spite babies, so we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're just like, I mean, our parents are yelling at each other. This is amazing. Nobody's threatening to murder anyone in murder shit. Yeah. All right. So we got that. Now, so
he drives his car too fast.
Well, we'll get there. Let me.
You gotta help me.
Let me AMA.
Okay.
Let me AYA you to this.
Okay.
Right. So, what about his romantic life? Ooh.
Oh, his true love died, or something happened to his true love.
Oh, that's a better thing to say. I don't know what happened.
Yes.
We get little flashes and little kind of montage scenes.
Yeah, there was true love at one point.
Definitely.
But it's gone now.
He definitely loved her. I mean, every time there is that montage scene where I don't think we've seen her face yet.
Yeah.
But every time there's a montage, it has like that dreamy filter on it. And it's like, without even seeing her, you're like, oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. And the love they had.
Oh, it was amazing.
Was beautiful.
Yeah. Pure.
Look at this. His flashback is on the beach.
Always on the beach.
Right?
The wind is blowing perfectly.
Oh, well, we haven't seen her hair yet.
Oh.
Maybe. I mean, I'm like back and forth between watching this movie and trying to act like I'm paying attention to my kids. Like I don't want our I don't know. I don't want our kids to feel loved.
I want to give them a little bit of the spite.
Yeah. Just I want them to like feel like they have a parent that wasn't there.
Well done, Gantt. Yeah. Well done.
So they'll be successful and pretty. Like,
okay.
That's what I want. So right. His romantic situation, again, we don't know.
Yeah.
But at one point, there was an epic love.
Oh, yeah.
An epic love of epic proportions.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So what do you think he ranks amongst other badasses that do his job.
He's got to be the best, or he was the best at one point in time.
Are you sad that you had to give up your Mr. Bean fantasy? Are you sad that you had to give that up right now?
No, I was just a little nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, don't think of Mr. Bean. Don't think of Mr. Bean. Like.
All right. So you're right. You're right. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best. And then I think that's pretty much. I think that's an old school action badass.
Does he have a cool ride of some sort, whether it's like a motorcycle or a car or like?
I don't think he owns a vehicle.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of doing. This movie's taking place in a third world country.
Okay.
So
your get arounds are a little bit different.
Yeah, you're like rid on a kid who's riding a bike.
He's got a good kid though. Good strong one. Good spike kid.
Yes. He is. All kids that are born in third world countries, they're cute kids. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
I don't know what happens to them as adults.
Yeah, they start cute though.
Yeah, they do. Like until they they're like the opposite. They get to like 13, 14 and they just start ugging. Maybe it's just like the living conditions, the nutrients they're missing living in a third world country, where like you don't really need it when you're a kid because like when you're a kid you absorb nutrients from everything.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like you whip a kid hard enough and he'll get healthy. Like kids can absorb nutrients from domestic abuse. Like not a lot of people know that.
No,
poor people know that. Poor people know that. That's how poor people get their kids in college. They beat them into college. But no, this movie's sick, man. It's just good. The action scenes are good. The movie part is good. The acting's good. Chris Hemsworth is a really good actor.
Yeah.
I love it when solid actors like that dedicate their lives to action.
Yeah.
Because then you just get deep, layered action movies, and I love it.
I just read Val Kilmer released a autobiography, I believe, and he was talking about how when he did Top Gun with Tom Cruise, there were like two camps, his camp and Tom Cruise's camp, and his camp was always going out and partying and doing all that stuff, and Tom Cruise was like dedicated his life at that time. He was like, I'm going to be the best action movie star ever. Mm-hmm. And so he'd go home after filming to rehearse his lines, and all he'd do was study the script, and he was just dedicated to it. And Val Kilmer was out, living the other life.
I mean, I don't know who won. They're both gay now. So who won?
Tom Cruise became a much bigger movie star.
Much bigger movie star, but probably much gayer as well. Right? Because he had to like get gayer to receive all those accolades. Like that's what Hollywood and the Illuminati required of you in order to be.
He
that
had Katie
big of a
Holmes.
star. She got the hell out of Dodge. She was like, I don't want to be gay. I just wanted to marry Tom Cruise. Like, what little girl didn't want to grow up and marry Tom Cruise? This is not what I thought it was going to be. Out of here. So what do you feel like is his his background that gives him his credentials? What's his accredited background?
Oh, his broken home?
Well, I mean, no, what makes him where did he get his badass skills?
Like, was he in the military or something? Like, where did
he
hone these skills?
Yeah.
Sometimes. So I don't know if he was in the military. You like join the military for 9/11, but I don't think that's it.
That was very specific.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what are his backgrounds? Okay, was it which tragedy did he use to turn himself over to the military? Okay.
Or he could have done martial arts before. He could have he could be a very good fighter of some sorts. I don't know what else could drive somebody to those skills. He could come from the darkness. He could have been in part of the underworld. But
Bane? You think he's Bane?
Yeah.
You merely shoot movies in the dark. All right, so you got to pick one. I got to pick one.
Okay, he was orphaned and he had to go out on the street and survive on his own. He has street smarts.
Okay, no, military.
Okay.
Like high-level military, like Navy SEAL or whatever the British version of that is.
Okay.
Yeah, because he still has his accent, so I'm assuming he's not American.
Okay.
Although, like, if you're badass enough, we take you.
Yeah, we'll adopt you.
Yeah, we'll definitely take you.
Yeah.
Man, I can't stop thinking, as far as high-level military ops organizations, it would almost be irresponsible to not have every single one of them on steroids.
Irresponsible to not have them on steroids. But what about like steroids? What about the negative side effects of steroids? Like the being too aggressive. Like what if it clouds their judgment?
I think that's really something that happens more with steroid abuse.
Yeah.
I think you can do a very technical cycle.
Like the Russians with their athletes?
with their doctors.
Doctors
like if you
and
have
stuff?
like doctors administrate it.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You have military doctors. Their sole reason for existing is to give our high-level soldiers steroids.
That makes sense. I mean, because like you've got to use those advantages, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when they go on missions, they're not going to be able to sleep for like 3 days. You've got to give them the drugs that keep them alert and allow them to do this.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And there's no governing body to make sure soldiers are not on steroids. It's like now we're going to get caught for cheating and have to like give back our medals. You know what I mean? It's not like Vietnam is going to be like, it turns out officials in Vietnam found out that American soldiers are on steroids. We have to give them what back? like what do
dead babies?
What do you get? You know what I mean?
don't know.
Like, what do you get back?
I don't know.
Because what do we even take from them?
A lot of women's virginities or
Can't get that back.
no.
You can't get back that. You get, like what? Yeah. What do you sprite babies want? What do you beautiful biracial sprite babies want? Yeah. No. I would do it if I was
You do spike babies
Yeah,
in Vietnam?
I do a spike baby in Vietnam for sure.
That might be.
They didn't have steroids back then. They had to do something to stay hype. Just making spike babies. Go out there, impregnate as many short little women as you can, and then go out and fight some short little men. Wow, we fucked that country up, huh?
Yeah.
Man, that saying what I just said made me realize how bad it was.
That was it. That was the
Man.
moment.
Man, it really took me to give me perspective on what we did to that. Wow. Man, pause. How about we pause and show a little respect for Vietnam, please? Just a little respect.
Yeah.
A moment of silence.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Vietnam.
I don't know if they want your silence.
You don't know what they want.
I don't.
You don't know. By the way, that's what we do on this podcast. We just try to, imply what other ethnicities want of us. We're speculating, we're spitballing, we're bringing the world together through racism. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. But no, I would definitely, if I was in that sort of military,
do the steroids
for sure. Sure.
Yeah, you gotta.
It's because like for the most part, we're like the Batman of countries. Like this is I'm working this one out as I'm saying it to you. Because number one, in order to do what we do to the bad guys, we should definitely be on steroids.
Okay, right? And Batman's on steroids?
He's gotta be.
He's always getting beat up and then getting up the next night.
Yeah, and he's living
fight.
So much of his time as Bruce Wayne.
He's no sleep
managing
for that,
a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Yeah. It's like, where do you find time to get that jacked?
Yeah.
And when do you stretch? you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Like every now and again in the cartoon, you would see him doing dips.
Yeah.
As like those fucking maniac steroid dudes. That's all they do. That's the only workout you do when you're on steroids is dips. You just do dips. Your legs get big. You just get jacked. Your neck gets all big. So yeah. So we're the Batman of countries, right?
Okay.
We definitely have to be doing steroids, right? As a country.
Yeah.
We go into squalor and beat up the poors.
In a righteous name.
In the name of righteous. Yes, for the good.
Yeah.
For the good. But
we come in with like all these like gadgets and big guns and shit and like and they're just
robots,
living
like robots walking into your small
and
rice
then we
village.
Cheer.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then we take credit for taking down a much scarier crime family. You know? It's like, we just went up and beat a bunch of poor Indians up, or like a bunch of poor Afghanis and shit.
Yeah.
It's just like running around in sandals
with their sheep. Yeah,
we're definitely the Batman of countries.
Yeah,
definitely the Batman of countries. So, what's up? What's up? I saw it looked like you had some notes.
Oh.
You got notes?
I got notes.
All right. Do you want to get into your notes, or you want to talk a little bit more?
Sure, I'll get into my notes.
All right. Because I don't know if you know this. I might have to just say this a little bit, but did you hear how the world is now coming down on Ellen DeGeneres?
No, the world can't turn on Ellen DeGeneres.
I'm not going to let this happen.
How could?
I'm not
What
gonna
could
let
she
this
have
happen.
done?
Well, apparently, it's all about this COVID shit.
Yeah.
So she had to furlough some of her employees because they're not shooting the show with the full staff.
Yeah, everybody.
So
yeah.
we can't pay them. Right?
Yeah.
So they had to furlough some of their employees.
Yeah.
The employees are like, what the fuck, Ellen? You're
You know.
almost a billionaire. This makes so much money. We don't make a ton of money. Why are you not paying us through this? So she's mean for that.
Okay.
Now, because of that, all these people are coming out to say that Ellen DeGeneres is mean to people.
No.
She's a big meanie.
She's a big.
She's a big
no, she likes to dance though.
She loves to dance.
Yeah.
She loves it.
So she must be nice.
She's got to be. 100% got to be. A white lady that loves to dance.
Yeah.
Dude, I just realized that Ellen DeGeneres might be a Karen. She might be probably the mascot for Karen.
She's got quite a haircut.
She got quite a haircut.
It's a little-
That's a Karen cut for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's cheap apparently because she's not paying her furloughed employees.
Yeah.
And she's not nice. So one of the people that is like some makeup, what do they call it? Influencer from YouTube was a guest on the show. And she said when she went there, she had an experience that made her feel like, don't meet your heroes. What do you think her experience was? Because this is not me necessarily sticking up for Ellen DeGeneres, but I like it that someone who has their finger on the pulse of liberalism, like Ellen, is now getting this sort of like unfounded vitriol or like hyped up or overblown vitriol about some of her behaviors.
Yeah.
In the way that they're trying to make her seem cancelable, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So this makeup influencer has what she considers to be an experience to make her say, never meet your heroes about Ellen DeGeneres. What was that experience?
Maybe Ellen just wasn't very friendly to her in the hallway. Like,
I thought for sure I was going to get something naughty.
oh,
No, I mean, it's like you don't have to. Don't be required. They'll feel obligated to say that Ellen ate her
grabbed your
box
butt.
too hard.
Oh.
Ellen, I said no teeth. And Ellen was like, no, I do teeth. That's what I do. I do teeth. If you want an Ellen munch, you get teeth. That's what you get when you get an Ellen munch. You get teeth.
Oh. No, I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be a big letdown because I feel like people are just gonna be like, oh, I saw her in the hallway and I tried to do the 2-step dance with her and she didn't do it back and I didn't like it.
You know what? That wasn't it, but that would be more valid than what it is. Like
Yeah.
even now, I'd be like, come on, you can't. She's not a fucking dance monkey.
Yeah.
You can't expect like every like, hey, I'm doing it, Ellen. You do it too. It's like,
Yeah.
like you go to the zoo and start dancing in front of a monkey cage, you know. But she met one of Ellen's interns, and that intern was mean to her.
Ellen's intern was mean
Ellen's
to her?
intern was mean to her, and then she left with the sentiment, "Don't meet your heroes."
What? She's stupid.
She is stupid. I think she's just trying to capitalize off of this new narrative about Ellen and be like, it happened to me too. Me too. Hashtag
Yeah.
me too.
But does anybody have anything valid about Ellen?
I don't think so.
Nobody. She didn't eat anybody's box too hard.
Nah.
She didn't.
But I'm sure yes. Ellen looks like a hard muncher.
You're
A
gonna
hard.
have to ask Portia.
I mean, do you? I think Ellen's a little aggressive. I think she's aggressive. I think she's aggressive sexually, not in the sense where she's going to hashtag me too people.
Yeah.
But I think in a consensual situation,
So she gets down.
I think she gets in. I think she
Yeah.
goes hard. I think that's where and we're, like all humans have to exercise that part of our spirit that loves violence.
Right.
But not everybody wants to hit and hurt people.
Yeah.
She just wants to love people, right?
Yeah.
She just wants to help people hard,
Yeah.
right?
Hard.
She's dedicated her life to this.
Yeah.
To the point where, like she was big when she came out of the closet on her show. That was big. She was
Yeah.
like taking the bullet and like taking all of that public ridicule and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think she feels like,
I could see that.
I get to eat as hard as I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll support
Which
that.
kind of here's my question to you though. If someone is munching a box too aggressively,
Okay, if Sidney munches my box too hard.
Well, you can't make it me because of the way this is going to be.
Okay.
So, or you, no, don't make it you either. If I'm not munching that box, nobody is. That's the rules.
Okay, if there was a box being munched.
There's a box being munched. Let's just say Ellen's munching a box.
Okay.
Let's just say it's one of her guests. She's not cheating on Portia. It's Hollywood. That's what they do.
Okay.
She's munching a box. She's using a little too much teeth.
Okay.
And the person says, that's too much teeth. Can you stop with the teeth? And then Ellen, go back to what I said earlier. She's like, this is Ellen DeGeneres. This is how a munch box. If you get a munching by me, you get teeth.
Yeah.
And then she finishes.
Yeah.
Was that sexual assault?
Was that sexual assault?
Because I feel like if it was a guy, that would be sexual assault. Like, he ate my pussy too hard. Yeah. And when I told him that it was too hard, I think he ate it harder.
I mean, it's definitely very rude. Like, I don't think you should do that to people, you know? Should somebody, so if it becomes sexual assault, should somebody be punished by the law for it?
Oh, that would be an amazing court case.
I don't know if we need to go there, you know, like if it wasn't.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Generous, we have to take you downtown. because of how hard you went downtown.
Yeah, I don't think we need to, you know, like there's some things that people need to work out between the two of them. Like, you know, just if you didn't like it, don't let it happen again, you know? Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's also important to make this announcement too. We're opening we're opening up we're doing a Patreon.
Oh, yay.
Patreon's happening. I'm going to be uploading the first installment to the Patreon. It is an episode, it was a normal episode that we recorded that is maybe a little too hot for public consumption. It's called Mayor N-Word. That's all I can tell you for now. $1. That's all you got to pay is $1. That gets you in. Come mess with us on our Patreon and check out Mayor N-Word and see why we had to do what we had to do. But we had to do it eventually. I mean, people were signing up for our Patreon and we didn't even have any content up there.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of starting to feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
You know, we're just like taking $1 from people and they're not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to put up Mayor N-Word on our Patreon, and then we'll be adding content thereafter.
Yes.
All right, let's get into these notes.
Oh. So I was learning more about how the alphabet took down the goddess.
Okay.
Getting very angry at you men.
Yeah?
What you guys have been up to. I don't know. You guys just, you know, it's kind of slick how you guys did all this. But it's also like, it kind of makes me look at everything, including the Bible, and you're like, kind of like, what the,
yeah,
you know? So, you know, starting with like Adam and Eve.
And not Adam and Steve. No, I don't know why I said that.
Well, like, so the snake used to be a symbol for women and women's power. You know, it was sensual. It was like, it was tied to a lot of goddesses and everything. And then we have the story of Adam and Eve. And, you know, the snake is the one that's like, hey, but check out the apple. And then God comes down after you know, we all know the story. And then God comes down and he punishes everybody. So he's punishing the snake for this. You know, like degrading the snake, saying you're no good, you know? So that's like
God is doing this?
Yeah. God got mad. You remember, because he got mad at Adam and Eve. And he got mad at Eve in the way that
Wait, real quick. Spite kids or loved kids? Adam and Eve. What do you think?
Oh, it's hard because they're like, are they kids together? Because that's part of the issue. Like, there's just like, so the way that he goes through all these things, there's so many things you're like, oh my God, that's so true too. So like, Eve is Adam's rib, right? Mm-hmm. Ribs, you can take off 3-4 ribs of a person and people can live without them. Mm-hmm. They're not like even a necessary part of the body, right? So a woman could have been made from something necessary from the man, but it was made from a rib.
But that doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, in order to, okay, so we got to make another person. Sidney, we're just going to take that left leg of yours. Now I got to hop, like men have to hop for the rest of eternity, and
Maybe.
Women are walking around on 2 legs.
Women got to die during childbirth. That doesn't sound fair.
Gotta.
Well, I don't know. So all of it sounds like a little trivial, but like when you start adding everything up, you're like, huh, you know. So there's
Yeah,
something
but
going on here.
Okay, I mean, like it kind of sounds like one of those rationales that would come out of the sex positivity movement.
Yeah.
When they were talking about trying to make fisting something more acceptable and normalized in sexual society. And one of the descriptions that they use for it is that when you put your fist inside something, because I keep doing this.
Yeah, you do.
so I'm doing this is duck hand, because I was on a show that was all about fist. I was on one of these sex positivity shows, comedy shows. Well, I was the comic relief, and so we learned how to fist. So you start off.
You don't just take a fist and punch really hard
until you get in. Yeah, it's like Street Fighter. It's like fisting a woman is like the bonus stage of Street Fighter. You just keep punching the vagina until you get in there. So what you do is you start off with duck hand. Well, I guess you start off like poking, and then you slide the thumb in. Okay. Right, and that
opens it up more.
And then you get those other fingers involved. And then you slide in like that. You slide in, get your hand in.
Oh, you're in there.
Then when you're in, close the fist.
Oh, yeah. Have those fingernails trimmed, please.
Yeah, please. Trim those nails. Also, make sure you sanitize and COVID clean those hands.
Yes.
You don't want to be dirty fisting in the time of COVID.
That you read to me that was like, if you partake in these things, you might be at risk for COVID.
Yeah. It was like eating butt.
Yeah, it was a lot of
yeah, it was like mostly eating butt. Yeah. So they say and they try to say that this is such a spiritually sexual event, because the fist is about the size of a human heart. Oh. So when you're fisting someone, it's almost as if you're putting your heart inside their body. That was said to me. That was said to me by somebody with a PhD. It was like, nah.
Not the same.
When you're fisting someone, it's like you just uppercutted someone in the vagina.
I still felt like that. Yeah, now you get in there, but you're still there.
I'm looking on the side like, is this going to finish her? Is this going to end? Come on, I'm next. I want to play. All right,
so that'll happen, and so really, like, the message that we get out of this is that women shouldn't be curious, because the curious woman ate the apple. It caused all the bad things to happen. So women shouldn't be curious to learn.
Okay, so that kind of crosses with some of the other side of history lectures that I've been listening to.
Yeah.
So one of the things they talk about is not teaching women to read.
Yeah.
Actively not doing that. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And if you were a man that taught a woman to read, people fucking hated you.
Yeah.
They hated you, dude.
You and your curious ass
like,
woman.
This motherfucker out here teaching bitches to read.
Yeah.
Ugh. Dude, people must have been so annoyed with him all the time. Be like, hey, guys, what are we doing? We hanging out? I was like, no. Teaching women to read, I guess. Yeah. Why don't you go teach women to read? How about that? Yeah. So one of the phrases that they had a phrase, because that's what we do to teach future generations not to do things, is we put it in a catchy phrase.
Yeah.
Right. And so teaching a woman to read is equivalent to giving poison to a snake. Don't quite get that, because snakes are venomous themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would imagine it's like if you gave a snake additional poison.
Yeah, or maybe it's a snake that's not venomous, and you give him it. Now you're screwed. Nobody wants a snake around, right?
Not a poisonous one.
Now you gotta. Now it's gonna get you.
But that's like.
Yeah.
But I mean, but it also kind of parallels with the imagery that of snakes and women.
Yeah.
That powerful. So that's kind of just funny to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, so maybe it wasn't. Maybe the snake part isn't the insult.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the poison. Because I was like, listening to it. I was like, yeah, they are snakes. Preach, brother. This motherfucker spitting.
And there's a whole bunch of verses in the Bible where they make wisdom. They talk about wisdom like it's a woman, and they talk about men like, you know, like a man. They speak of wisdom that it's a she, and that so, you know, so this is like the first creation story that didn't have a woman involved in it. This Yahweh is what they called God back there.
Yahweh.
Did I say it wrong?
No, I was just trying to say I don't know why way.
Oh.
I was like, why did my mouth do that? That was weird.
Yahweh.
It's like Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yahweh.
But creation myths back then always came with pairs. So the female side of this creation myth with Yahweh became Zion. And Zion was the place. It was, you know, it was the community and everything. But right after the Hebrews met Yahweh and they formed their community, for 450 years, he let the community be enslaved and treated badly. So this is like, you know, so it's another thing that if Zion is the female side of this is showing how the female should be treated, right? Yeah. And the first 3 women that are talked about in the Bible are all barren. They can't have kids, and they're and so they actively tell their husbands to go knock up like the handmaid, you know, like go get your children, or
go get that handmaid's tale.
yeah. Or I think one of them.
Wait, let me just sit on that one. That was fun. I really enjoyed it. I've never even seen the Handmaid's Tale. I just know it was a very popular thing, and that was probably. You see what I did there? Right. Keep it moving.
Or it was God that came in and saved the barren. You know, I
thought you were going to say God came in and start making people. It's like how people do with their toys when they're little. Just like start,
do it.
We're going to make some babies. Yahweh, stop. We'll do it ourselves, Yahweh, stop. I don't like it when you do it. You're like Ellen DeGeneres. You're too rough.
It's like the heart. It's like the
heart. Yahweh's in the back, like, give her the heart. Give her the heart. All right. So we're getting a Handmaid's Tale. We're getting a Handmaid's Tale.
So you know, because before this, if you think about the time, there was tons of goddesses, and goddesses were in charge of women's reproductive measures, you know, like that's where the woman, if the woman did anything, that's where she was, you know, she was fertile. This was her realm. And so with these first 3 tales, you know, God was the one that was fixing everything, Yahweh, and it was also showing that the infertility issues were with the women. It had nothing to do with the men, you know, that their seed was good.
Dude, my seed is gold.
Yeah. So you know, and then there were other things, you know, that, you know, Hebrews are the first.
Because the dude was like, I mean, I'm coming. I don't know what the problem is. I'm coming. That is how they knew that a man's dick worked.
Yeah.
It's like
it's shooting.
Like I don't like, they'd go to like their elders, like, we're having trouble conceiving, and the elder would be like, come here, let me see that dick, and he like jerk him off. And yeah, it's your wife. Your wife, I don't know, because you're good, you're coming.
You know, like some of the other things that the early Hebrews, or, you know, the what are the traditional
circumcisions?
Well, yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't know what that has to do with women. I still don't know what that has to do with anything.
I think if we go along with what I just said, because
it's easier to make.
It's easier to jerk off. You don't have to peel,
check this thing.
Especially if you're an elder and you're out there and you're like, you have to keep, you're like checking like 20 penises a day to see if they work. You don't want to have to keep flipping back. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to keep dealing with that. It's just like, dude, just cut that off so I can just, you know, just like an assembly line.
These 10 are good.
Yeah, man, get those dicks ready before I even get here, dude. Like, why do I have to come here and then prepare the dicks myself? And I do too much. I got a life and kids too, man. I want to spend time with my family too. Right. So
you know how the Jewish community has bread that's non-leavened.
Unleavened bread. Yeah.
So it's because the history behind it is because when they left, when Moses was taking them out of servitude, they left and they didn't have time to get the yeast. But in reality, there's a scripture that talks about how they go back and get the gold and all this other stuff. So if they had time to go back and get that stuff, they would probably, like women would have had time to gather their yeast, Yeah. But really, the theory is that because rising has more to do with female sexuality and like fertility and like filling and so it's like we're just chucking anything that could be associated with a woman and fertility and female out. So that's why we don't want bread that comes up.
Harder to grip big hard bread when you've been jerking people off all day. And you're like knuckle, you need like thin bread. So you can just like hold it like you're about to, this is a good sandwich.
And then how pigs, like they don't eat the pig.
Yeah.
But because there was plenty, and we always are like, oh, because pigs have what illness can they give you?
I don't know, but like giardia or some
like if you don't cook the meat enough, if it's a pink, you get the disease.
You get worms.
Yeah. But there's
hookworm, like the South, like the American South. You come out all slack jawed.
Yeah,
just slack jawed Jews. Shalom.
They didn't have any of those. But there was like a lot of other cultures that were nearby that ate a lot of pigs and they didn't die out. Mm-hmm. So this guy's theory is that, pigs, they wallow in the mud. Mud is associated with women and fertility and things growing out of the earth and, plants coming up out of the mud. So this is just another way to be like, nah, get that female, and like some of this you have to like be like, okay, this is goddesses and the times when like people used to do these different things. You got to think about like the ceremonies and things they used to do.
Yeah.
So they're like, get those pigs out of here.
I'm not disagreeing with this because you're just a messenger, right? But it's also, we live in a time where you get rewarded for being able to associate seemingly non-related events to some sort of ism.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So to be able to go back in time and be like, well, you know why the Jews don't eat pigs? Bitches. For sure, bitches. And then everybody's like, oh my God, he's so brave. That was his work. His seminal work on pig bitches. Really opened my eyes.
At a point, he brought up vagina detente.
Oh, with teeth?
With teeth, which just
Ellen
made me laugh because you were talking
oh my God.
I don't even know why he really brought it up, but he brought it up.
Do you think that Ellen DeGeneres, do you think she comes from a long line of family with people with teeth in her vagina? Do you think that's what she descends from, and that's why she uses so much teeth when she munches box? Is that what you're saying? Because I think I see that connection. Ellen, vagina detente, Ellen detente. Like that, it just like flows.
Yeah.
We have to look that up. We have to look up DeGeneres and see if that name comes from teeth vagina. Toothy vagina. Do you think Ellen has a toothy vagina? That's why she eats vagina with so much teeth. She's like, they can take it. They can take. I'll just hit your vagina teeth. Like, where everybody else's vagina teeth are so deep, I never even see them.
Maybe that's like you always tell me the males in Hollywood are doing butt stuff. Maybe all the females in Hollywood have vagina teeth, and that's why they're, like Julia Roberts. She's got some vagina teeth, right? She's got a lot of teeth up here. There's a lot of teeth in that woman.
Listen, this chick is spitting right now. This chick is fucking spitting right now. Izzy, you are dropping that knowledge. Yeah. Listen, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. Julia Roberts and her toothy vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So then
Aaron Baitovich. All right, let's hear it.
So then he started talking about Herodotus, your dude,
Herodotus,
right?
The first racist.
Yeah.
The first historian and the first racist.
Yeah. And so they were talking about how
also the first liar. That is an accreditation for him. He is considered the first historian, the first liar, and we've given him the label as the first racist.
Yeah.
All right.
So now alphabet's being brought to Greece.
Okay.
And Greek has all its mythology. So you have to look at their mythology to see, what this meant to their culture when they brought it there.
Yeah.
So he was talking about the myth that covers this is one, Europa and Zeus met each other. And so Zeus came down and Europa was like looking all innocent and pure and like that's like Mother Earth, and he made himself a bull and she thought he looked beautiful. And bulls apparently have a tie to femininity because if you look at their face, they look like fallopian tubes and a uterus.
Dude, these people are just seeing pussies everywhere.
Well, O'Keeffe, the painter that draws the flowers, like one of her other famous paintings is a skeleton of a bullhead.
Yeah.
And so if you look at it, you see like the vagina similarities between these things.
Dude, that's what annoys me when people try to talk about how things should be like they were back then.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, we'll be like this is so we'll say like homosexuality.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, well, the ancient Greeks were very comfortable about homosexuality. It's like, yeah, they also saw dicks and pussies everywhere. Like everything was a dick and a pussy to them. Of course they were comfortable with homosexuality. For sure.
Just imagine in town, like people were just like fucking walls and like obelisks that were like like any hole. Like got that one.
Is that wall a pussy? It's like, dude, what are you talking? Oh yeah, it is. My bad. I didn't even look at it.
And so bulls are another, like snakes, they're another symbol of femininity, which, like you have to, we think, I don't know what you think about bulls.
Well, the Brahma bull is now a symbol of masculinity and strength. That's what the Rock has tattooed on his.
But it didn't used to be that way. Yeah, it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah, you're cooking pussy, dude.
Yeah.
you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Yeah, big vagina.
He's over there flexing vagina.
Yeah.
The Rock is a vagina flexor.
Uh-huh.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the Illuminati saw that and were like, we're scooping him up.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure he knows not to put his penis in a vagina. For sure.
And the bulls were in water a lot back then. There's a lot of myths that bulls are in water. Just a weird thing. So when Zeus became a bull, and he was a beautiful bull, and Europa.
Are you trying to say Zeus was transgender?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I don't know why Zeus was.
Wow.
No. That wasn't what was going on. He was being a bull and luring Europa to ride on him into the water.
Yeah. Because
he was symbolizing a woman, like femininity, that was taking down femininity. So it's like a double like sword, like take that, you female.
He just honestly, Zeus sounds like he was the first male feminist.
Maybe.
He was like the male feminist in the terms of what non-male feminists like me accuse male feminists to be.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't support you. He's just trying to slide up next to you so he can fuck you in the water.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what he did.
Yeah. Well, he took her all the way to Crete because Crete was a woman, like a I don't know. There's something about Crete. Like there was like pro-woman, or it was like they had a lot. Goddesses. It was the way that the religion there before they changed. It was like they had a high goddess religion. So he took her there, and she.
Crete sounds like one of those words that women were like, I don't like the word like Crete, like kind of like the word moist.
Yeah.
You don't say moist or Crete around a woman. Right, keep going.
So he took her there, and she had a bunch of brothers, and they couldn't, like her family couldn't find her, so they went searching for her, and one of her brothers, Cadmus, found her there. And there's two versions of the stories. The first one, he helps Zeus defeat a bat, a bat. No, a bad.
The coronavirus?
No, not a bad. I was saying a bad,
okay, gotcha.
Like an evil serpent thing. And then the other one, he beats the evil serpent by himself. And then the other one, when he beats the evil serpent, he takes out the teeth of the serpent. And the teeth are the representations of the letters of the alphabet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you teach that bitch to read? Give me those. They snatched the reading out of the brain of a woman. Snatch that. Get that reading back.
Yeah.
You better go in there and get that fucking reading back. You shouldn't have taught her. Then you shouldn't have taught her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you know that, I don't know, do you know how Minotaur was created?
Yeah,
You know,
man, fuck the bull. No, it's like,
No,
yeah.
it was so there was a bull, and it was so beautiful that the king's daughter fell in love with it. So she had the person in the town that would do this, I don't know who it was, create a hollow bull, the female bull that she crawled inside
Yeah.
and lured the bull over so it would impregnate her. And the baby that she had was the Minotaur.
Damn.
Yeah, and it stays down under the palace in the labyrinth because it's like another symbol of like, you know, like women's tubes and stuff, and like
Yeah.
down in the darkness and this evilness. And
Are you
Yeah.
sure even the Greeks were like, we fucked that one up? Like we were getting loose, we were having a good time, but then this came up. Ah, boy.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right.
So that's all I got for you right
That's
now.
what you get. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful lesson, man.
Yeah.
I love it when you have something to teach.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's it.
Yeah.
We're going to call it.
Okay.
That was it. Definitely, before we end this, check out the Patreon. Get on board with that. I'll be making announcements as much as I can. I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast don't necessarily, they're not like on my social media per se. Like
Yeah.
nowhere near as many my social media and the listeners don't match.
Yeah.
Like there's way more listeners. So if you made it this far, if you heard the announcement, check out the Patreon. We'll be making more announcements with more episodes, and we'll be trying to push that a little bit more. And shout outs. We might have to eventually stop doing shout outs or start like kind of doing them in sections, like shout out to this group, shout out to
Yeah.
that group, because we're just getting too many people.
Yeah.
And like I hate realizing that I forget people, because I just saw a post, somebody like guy Matt Butler commented on a post, and I'm like, I don't think I've been shouting him out.
Yeah.
Like I might have been missing him,
Yeah.
you know? So just shout out all the dogs, all the champions, all those jiu-jitsu heads,
Yeah.
and Andrew Pace, what up? Andrew, I mean, he does our fan page.
Yeah.
You got to give him a special shout out.
Yeah.
He's the
He's
man.
special.
Yeah. So, also, Julian and Meg up in Canada,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she provided us pandemic masks.
She saved us.
She swooped in
She
like
saved
Chris
you
Hemsworth.
from us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she Chris Hemsworth us, man.
Yeah.
She's an old school action badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Julian and Meg from Canada. There's also a comedian named Rick Giuliani
Oh.
who's also a fan,
Yeah.
also a barber.
Oh.
So sorry, Rick, that you're not out there cutting hair right now. When this comes back, I'm going to get my hair cut by Rick and Liz at the same time.
Yeah. At the same
I'm
time.
going to get a white man and a white woman to cut my hair and see what happens.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. Don't worry, the white woman that cuts my hair, she can't read. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Oh, shout out Circadian Clock. That's what you're listening to right now.
Yes.
That's what you heard at the beginning of this podcast. Check out their stuff on Spotify. Anything else you want to say?
No.
All right. You guys are the best. We love you. Good night.
She got you.